All right, are we having fun yet? Now on to our next video on groups, and I just got done with a big fight with Sketchup here. It wouldn't do what I wanted it to do, but with a little patience and perseverance, we'll make it happen. So let's take a look at, first off, the guy that was standing here for scaling. I deleted him by hitting the select tool and selecting him and hit delete. If you notice, he probably showed up as a ghost image in X-Plane 11, and that's how you get rid of him. Okay, what we're going to do to demonstrate groups is we're going to build a chimney onto the cabin. And we're going to make a classic mistake for a learning point, and then we're going to do it the right way. All right, so I'm going to put my chimney on the back side of the cabin here. Now, the fight that I had with Sketchup is I tried to put it over here on the right side, and for some reason, it would not cooperate. So here we are on the back side. Want to make a chimney, so we come up here to the rectangle tool, and we're going to start right down here on the foundation, and we're going to draw a rectangle. Now, if you want it on the blue axis, which we do, you push the up arrow on your keyboard, and now we can draw the rectangle on the blue axis. If I were to push the right arrow, I'd get red, right for red, and left for green. So you can use those arrow buttons to determine the direction that your rectangle is going to be drawn. All right, I'm going to build this chimney in 3 stages. So I want to extrude it up a portion, so I double click, selecting both face and edges, go up to the push pull tool or pop-up on your keyboard and bring this up just about there. Okay, now I want to go ahead and put another stage so that the chimney begins to narrow. So I push Alt, and this is going to add the next stage. And I bring that up a little bit. And now what I want to do is scale this, bring the sides in a little bit. So I double click with the select tool, and then I come up here to the scale tool. Notice it brings in these tabs. So I'm going to grab the middle tab and just pull that in a bit. Pull this in a bit. It's not going to be perfect. You can make it that way, but for the sake of this video, we're going to keep it simple. All right, now I use my select tool and select the face, and then the push-pull tool, and I'm going to bring this part of the chimney up past the roof. So, okay, it's not cooperating. I click on it again, and then it comes past the roof. All right. So looking around at my chimney, I like that. Now, in order to select something to move it, since this is not grouped, I would have to select all the faces by hitting Shift and the select tool and basically select everything before I could move it. But watch what happens when I try to move something that is not grouped, and the kind of weirdness that goes on. Notice, you know, what I'm doing, because all the faces are connected, it's dragging each face out, and they are not independent of one another. So let's start over. I'm going to hit Shift Z and get rid of my chimney. But I'm going to start off by selecting the entire cabin and making that a group. So I hit my select tool. Now, if I drag to the right, it will only select those lines and faces that show up in the box. So these are not selected. But if I drag to the left, any face or line that it touches, it will select the entire face and edge. So that's a little trick. Right, you select only what's in the box. Left, drag, you select everything that it touches. All right, now in order to make the cabin a group, I just right click on it and come down here to make group, and now it's its own group. Now you'll notice when you select it, it shows up, but if you wanted to edit this group, you'd have to double click on it, and then you can edit faces and edges. All right, but we're not worried about the cabin. We want to get to our chimney. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back up to the rectangle tool again and push my up arrow and draw the foundation of the chimney. There I have it. Now, before I do anything else, I want to group this as the chimney. So I double click on this rectangle, right click, look for make group, click on that, and now in order to edit this, I have to double click on it. So I select that group, and notice now the other group, the cabin, is transparent. All right, so I want to raise this chimney up in 3 stages. So I go to my push-pull tool, and I bring it up, and then I hit Option. I'm going to make the next stage, and now I want to scale this so that it's coming in on the edges. So I use the scale tool, bring it in a little bit on the right side, bring it in a little bit on the left side. Now I use my select tool, select, push pull, bring it all the way up past the roof. All right, so here's my chimney. Now, watch what happens when we try to move this object now. So I don't like it right there. I want to move it to the center. So what I do is click on the object, and then with mic on your keyboard, the move tool, I'm just going to drag it straight over. As long as you stay on that axis right there, it'll drag it straight over. A way that you can do that is by hitting the right arrow key, and that lines it up on that axis. See how it shows up red? And it won't let you move off that axis. All right, so I click right there. Now, I want to push this chimney into the cabin a little bit. So I need to go along the green axis. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to push the mic button on my keyboard and find the center here, and then push the left arrow key, and now it's on the green axis. Notice it just stays on the green axis. No matter where I move, it's going to snap into the edge. Now what I have is I've got that chimney going into the cabin, which gives it a nice look. Now, if I wanted to, I could scale this whole thing, make it a little bit narrower, move it a little bit more into the cabin, hit the arrow or hit the left arrow key. Okay, so I have my chimney. And I can do that because I've grouped it. All right, now what I can do is I can texture this, making sure that I use the exact same texture as before. All right, and when you click like that on the group, it's just going to paint the whole thing. But we need to double click on it. All right, and we want to, sometimes when you're trying to paint a grouped object, you have to double click several times until you get the face, and then right click, and I'm still not getting it. All right. If you can't pull up the texture on the first try, go ahead and paint it again, and then hit right click and texture. And now we're gonna use the stones in order to paint our chimney. So red is the anchor, green sizes, and I'm just gonna paint big time here. Let's see if we can do this and paint the whole chimney at once. So I've got that lined up, making it big. All right, so what I want to do is take my paint bucket, hit Command, get the eyedropper out. Let's try to paint this whole thing with that. Okay, that didn't work, so I'm left to double clicking and then taking the paint bucket, and now I have that side, and hit Alt, and notice that weirdness going on, so we're going to have to reposition this. Yeah, so when we reposition it, we'll just reset the position and then draw out the pins again. It's a little bit time consuming doing this each time, but you know, when I looked at Blender and burning in textures and all that stuff, it seemed like in the long run it was just as much time. So you know, and the other thing is, have fun doing this. Don't feel like you have to get it done in a hurry. Just take your time and have fun. Okay, we're gonna have to repaint these. So what we do is get our paint bucket, Command eyedropper, and there they are. Okay, now we'll be able to do the other side just fine with this. So eyedropper, rotate or orbit around, paint bucket, and there we have it. Now we're gonna have to do this other side. That's looking good. Notice that transparency there. That's because it's not lined up. So we just go to texture, position, line it up. Okay, so there's the chimney, and you know how to group objects. One more tool I'm going to show you is the offset tool right up here. You know, this doesn't look real. We want the chimney with a cavity going down. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the offset tool to kind of draw the hole for the chimney. All right. Now I use the select tool and select the very middle, and then come up here to the push-pull tool and just drag that down inside a ways. All right. So now I have the opening for the chimney, and I would just paint this the way that I painted everything else. All right, that looks good. So the video is getting a little bit long, so we're gonna stop right here. Go ahead and put a chimney on your cabin. If you can, put it on the side. I was having a little trouble moving it along the red axis. Maybe you'll have a little bit better luck, but there you have it. We now have a chimney on our cabin. In the next video, we're going to talk about texturing round objects. So see you in the next video.